Hi everyone, my name is Roger Armstrong. So for today's video, we're going to talk about gender expression versus authentic representation. We all know that gender is really confusing. No one knows it fully, I think. So as gender is problematic, gender expression can be even more confusing. So today we're going to talk about gender expression. So today I'm going to examine the definition of gender expression, and we will go through why I think gender expression can be great and why I think it can, be bad. And I will also explain why gender expression can be very good for educational purposes and why I think it's linked to spirituality. Today's video is kind of like an essay vlog. So I'm going to attach all the articles I refer to in the description box along with all the videos and websites that I refer to. Before we get into gender expression online, I'm going to go through what is gender expression and what is not gender expression. So, in the article Gender Expression and Identity by Smart Sex Resource, it explains that gender expression defines how a person outwardly shows their gender identity. This includes physical expressions such as a person's clothing, hairstyle, makeup, and social expressions such as name and pronoun choice. This could be true, I kind of agree with the statement, but it all depends on a person's intent of why they dress a certain way. There's a lot of dust. I don't clean enough. If a woman looks stereotypically feminine, she has long hair, makeup, pink lipstick, whatever. If she's intentionally trying to look feminine, intentionally trying to look female, then that would be gender expression. Same thing with a man who tries to act really manly, with a mustache, wears really masculine clothing. If his intent is to look masculine, if his intent is to look male, that would be gender expression as well. Gender expression can be harmless, but it can also have negative outcomes. Taking back this man example I had, it's possible that he really is this rough and tough kind of manly guy. Maybe that is his authentic truth. But it is possible that this expression is done in a dishonest way. Maybe he's trying to look masculine because he doesn't want to look feminine. He's scared to look feminine. Maybe this is how he thinks society expects of him. Or maybe he tries to look masculine to look attractive. This is also the same thing as, girls who try to act extra girly, more girly than what they actually are. That is gender expression, but I don't think it is an honest way of expressing your gender. So this is also known as gender roles. Nick Thornton explores this subject in one of his TED Talks. It's called Your Boyfriend Wants to Be Pretty. It's a nice title. So I'll play the video now.
We are a society obsessed with genitals. Penises and vaginas, we've just decided that's all we really need to get by in life, right? And I know some of you may not be ready to hear this, but your boyfriend does want to be pretty. And your girlfriend, she probably wants to be protective and powerful as well. Your boyfriend would like to act as interested as he actually is when you take him shopping. We all know what would happen if you happen to see a cute blouse or a pretty dress or something. Your masculinity is going to be called into question. We keep the list because it keeps us safe, right? No one's going to question us as long as we stick to the things we're supposed to like and the things we're not supposed to like. Girls like makeup, clothing, and emotions. Boys like violence, sex, and probably more sex. We like to be able to look at the other gender and go, ooh, oh, a woman. How mysterious, elegant, and goddess-like. I wish I could understand, but I never will. All the feminine secrets forever forbidden to me. That same girl could come home, find her boyfriend jamming out to I whip my hair back and forth in a pair of 5-inch stiletto heels, and some serious late-night questions might be had. But what's the dangerous behavior there? Arguably, the 5-inch heels if he doesn't know what he's doing. But I think you get my drift. It's everywhere. These gender roles, they follow us everywhere. We can't just go to a bar and order the drink we want. Gentlemen, would you feel entirely comfortable going to your campus pub and ordering the sassiest cosmopolitan that money could buy? No! Again, people will laugh at you and throw things. Look, hey. I think that guy might be a woman. You can tell by the drink. Gender roles are rubbish. Like to make fun of people that come even close to transgressing as what we see the natural order of things. The audacity of people who refuse to be defined by what is or isn't between their legs. Why can't they just do like everyone else does? More truly rebellious than being the people that we want to be. We could go out and like the things that we like, we could do the things that we wanted to do, and we could become the people that we truly wanted to be. You're all perfect. Thank you very much.
So basically what Nick is saying is that these gender roles will prevent people from being who they really are. So people who try to represent this gender role are expressing gender. In Nancy Thumim's article, she explains that people will often front a persona that differs from how they feel on the inside. She says that the debate concerns why the representation is there. It's a veracity and authenticity, and the extent to which it can be seen as proper representation versus the extent to which it might be seen as publicity. So yeah, people often front a perceived gender just so they could be displayed in a certain way, perceived by others that way. But with this in mind, are these representations like true and authentic? Are they truthful? Or are they biased and stereotypical? I'm actually reading like an essay I wrote, so like next paragraph. Another example of gender expression is when someone tries to depict themselves as another gender of their own. So example of this type of gender expression may include, doesn't mean it does include, but may include drag kings, drag queens, female or male impersonators, cross-dressers, or people who simply dress androgynously. A drag queen would be expressing her gender if they are intentionally trying to deviate from masculinity and or trying to look feminine. Again, so you're trying to look like a gender or stay away from a gender. That's gender expression. Or a woman who has short hair, tattoos, piercings, wears baggy clothes. This could be gender expression if it is her intent to look masculine, or if she's trying to deviate from femininity. So gender is not a binary meaning two, it's a spectrum. It's a whole lot of fluidity. So because there's a lot of this with gender expression is like times a million. So gender expression is if you want to look like neither gender. If you're like, I don't want to look like a girl or a boy intentionally, that's gender expression. If you want to look like both genders, that's gender expression. If your intent is just to look anything like a gender or not look like a gender, that is gender expression because it's about expressing some type of gender or no gender. And gender expression can be used as a creative outlet to, you know, express yourself with gender. You can use gender expression to make political or cultural statements. You can use gender expression to, you know, play with personas. It could be for self-exploration. There's a lot of ways to gender express. These are the positive reasons of gender expression. When it's done, you know, the right way, when it's about representing your authentic truthness, but just in a different way. Like, although someone is born male, but may cross-dress as a female, people might say that's like a type of fakeness, but I think that is authentic. It's just like a different type of authenticity. So as gender expression is now explained, I think what is not gender expression is also really important. So again, in the Smart Sex resource, it explains that another example of gender expression is someone who is assigned female at birth, identifies as female, but is happiest and most comfortable in more stereotypical masculine clothing. Like I said earlier, this could be gender expression, but let's say this woman isn't wearing baggy clothes because she wants to look like a male, not because she doesn't want to look like a female, not because she wants to look androgynous, but just because it's what her truth wants. It's what her inner self wants to wear. That's not gender expression because that has nothing to do with someone's gender. Sometimes clothes, hairstyles, makeup, expressions, the way we talk have nothing to do with gender. One may not try to look male. One may not try to look female. One may not try to look androgynous. One will just try to look like themselves. So if someone wears clothes just to look like themselves, it's not gender expression because their gender is completely irrelevant. So the way that the Smart Sex resource states that gender expression is how a person outwardly shows their gender identity, including physical expressions such as a person's clothing, hairstyles, makeup, and social expressions, I think is wrong because someone's outward appearance may have nothing to do with their gender identity. Moving on. Now that we know what gender expression is and what it isn't, I think we're in a better place to understand what gender expression online is. So simply, gender expression online is someone who expresses their gender in a virtual form and like presents it online. The first reason why I think gender expression online is important and that we need it in society is that it simply circulates education. So this is helpful for those who are struggling with gender identity, and they can find the content online helpful. But more importantly is that gender expression online gives people a voice. This gives the speaker the authority to say what they want. So since no one knows the truth of gender globally, each individual has the supreme authority to describe one's own subjective gender identity, which means no one can say what I am. I can only say what I am. And I can't go and say what other people are, only they can say what they are. In another TED Talks with Ashley Wylde on the gender tag, she explains that platforms like YouTube and Instagram are great for expressing gender online.
What is gender? how do we learn gender? How does it come to be? What does it mean? What does it look like? And especially, what does it feel like? And as I started to pursue answers to these questions and many more questions that I had, I realized that I was interested in this and I found it important. I realized that I wanted to hear about other people's experience of gender as well. And that led me to create a project called the Gender Tag Project.
So, like this video itself, this allows people who wish to be heard in front of audiences and, in public debates be possible. Myself, I have many examples of gender videos online. Ashley Wylde talks about the gender tag. I also did one. You should check it. I want some views. So this allows individuals to present themselves in front of audiences, to express stories, vlogs, issues that comments on, one's everyday activism. Ashley Wylde's video, Express Yourself Authentically. She examines the authenticity of gender expression through an online platform.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Wylde and welcome to my channel, Ashley's Wild Life. So I came up with a recipe of sorts, more like an equation, a system that I could put info into, and on the other side I would get an answer that helped me be clearer about what it was that I wanted for myself. Whenever I encountered something that had to do with my gender expression, I asked myself a series of 2 questions. Is this important to me personally, or am I doing this because I'm being told I should do it? I'll use shaving my armpits as an example because that was a really hard one for me to figure out. Am I shaving my armpits because it's important to me? Or am I shaving my armpits because I've been told I should? And even when I learned that the answer was I was doing it because I was told I should, it was still so hard to implement that change into my life. And I wanted to. I wanted to become my most authentic self. But it's scary. It's scary to do stuff that society tells you is gross or bad or wrong or abnormal. I did stop shaving my armpits. Truth is, that was an excellent decision for me personally because it was real. It was authentic. It came from what's important to me. And being authentic is the root of my happiness.
So by questioning what you think you should do versus what you think society wants you to do, this kind of helps you discover who you really are. All humans grow armpit hair, so it's up to each human if you want to shave or not. Vivienne's article, she states that in many cases, these negotiations appear to be heightened by queerness and the social taboos that surround any explicit expression of sex, gender, or sexuality. So this can make topics that are kind of like frowned upon and like hush-hush rise to the surface, as they should be. Vivienne Burgess states that growing awareness that the personal stories being told are worthy of taking up public space. So yeah, gender expression online is great for educational purposes. It can inspire people, educate people, and one who expresses their gender online allows knowledge and acceptance to be shared and circulated, which I think is pretty special. As expressing your gender online is great and it's very powerful, can do a lot for society, I think that not expressing your gender is also pretty powerful. So there's a balance that I feel like everyone has. A balance of privacy and a balance of a voice that you want to express, that you want to be heard in debates with. Being private should not be seen as holding back, as not having pride, or being ashamed. Privacy is just a human right, and I think that sometimes being silent and withholding your information can be equally as powerful. Again, in Vivienne's article, it says that they come to decisions about what constitutes socially acceptable public revelations, and what is best kept secret and concealed, and what should be made visible and celebrated with pride. I think that if someone is private about their gender or sexuality, maybe they are ashamed, whatever, but maybe they're not. So someone who doesn't comment on their gender or sexuality, their sex, kind of makes the concept seem normal, that it's not needed in discussion, that it's not that big a deal. So I think that just because someone is silent does not mean they're ashamed, it just means they're private, which is a right. Now, topics like gender, sex, sexuality are extremely personal. Discussions on this subject matter without consent is just inappropriate. It's important because someone may not be expressing their gender. Someone may not be expressing their sexuality. Even though they look like they are, they might not be. So furthermore, gender expression may only exist online. Some might find it difficult to express their authentic truth in reality, so it seems to be easier to do it online. And social media platforms like Instagram and Tinder allows one's gender to be relevant. Similar to people who swap their gender while playing video games, if you're a guy you'll be Princess Peach, or if you're a girl you'll be Mario. Social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Tinder kind of asks like what gender you are, male, female, other, then there's like a list of all the other. This kind of helps one's gender become materialized in this artificial space. So they don't want to select male or female, they can select the neutral option. This kind of helps their gender become actualized. Or if someone is male in real life but wants to be female, on Instagram you can like switch your gender to female. So in this artificial space that exists in this online digital world, you're a female, that your body is female in that space. So as someone can be embodied as the gender of who they really are online, I think that embodiment has like a special place in like this virtual plane. The experience of one's material body depends on a variety of incorporeal bodies. Like we have a spiritual body, a cultural body, an artistic body, psychological body. All of these practices can be located in one natural body. Like out-of-body experiences and like when you're in like deep meditation, you are not always with your body. Embodiment always exceeds the body, never being fully represented to it, which means one can explore the virtual version of embodiment in social media. Thus, one's gender can be embodied sincerely online. In an amazing article that I suggest everyone should read, it explains that in this assemblage, gender, sexuality, and embodiment are reconfigured by the novel ways in which they can be visualized, enacted, which allow users to perceive them as virtual practices of becoming, rather than concrete properties rooted in a stable physical body. So, in another article by Mayanna Framroze, I have no idea how to say her name. I'll put it down below, I have a bibliography. Go look at her freaking name. How do you say that? So in her article, she touches upon the self being a symbolic object, and she explains that the self is both individual and social in its character. So like in the social media world. She compares like one's physical self versus one's digital self. One will try to present themselves accurately online, but it's often depicted as the person they aspire to be, the person they want to be, the fantasy of who they want to be, or the fantasy of who they really are. And creating this self-spectacle about yourself is really good for self-love and promoting yourself. So Vivienne's article also states that these bodies online cannot be understood as mimetic textual copies of the reality, but rather work to transform embodied articulations of gender and sexuality from one plane of meaning and appearance to another. And then Van Doorn states, where does a human body end and technology begin? I can't even answer that. But if the experience and performance of gendered bodies can extend into digital spaces other than our physical environments, then someone's subjective gender could be more genuine and more authentic incorporeally in this artificial realm than it is physically. So I'm gonna read you my conclusion. So to conclude, like this video itself, gender expression online, like on social media platforms like Instagram and YouTube, allow gender and sexuality education to circulate. It is good for education for those in and outside the queer community, for self-fulfillment and actualizing or materializing gender, sexuality, and embodiment in digital space. But it is important to note that if you express your gender for the wrong reasons, you should start to express your authentic truth instead, and not as a gendered role. One's total being is combined of mind, body, and spirit. So our bodies and our mind are material, and they may have a gender. But our souls are completely genderless. They're incorporeal, they're unmaterial. The most honest representation of one's spiritual self may be in the digital and artificial realm, instead of being rooted to a physical body that is perceived by others. Gender, our soul, and the artificial world of online, they are all incorporeal. Like our own bodiless natural spirits, one's inner self can be embodied in digital spaces and allow one's genuine representation to be materialized sincerely. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me tell you, this video was actually for one of my classes. Again, the usual, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment down below any questions or any compliments, and I will answer them. Thank you, I love you all, have a good day.